So, a new friend of mine gave me a couple coils. He had this one from a Minelab 2100, 2200 GP Extreme. Had the GP Extreme 11-inch coil. Classic. And then last, the 18-inch. So I had some projects in mind for a couple of them. And I went to go pick them up last night. He's like, hey, I got this whole detector. You interested in it? I'm like, yeah, sure. So he hands me a GP Extreme. I was looking for one of these to build the drag coil setup and was shopping around for um, few different older Minelab GPX models. And it sounds like this is one of the better ones for big, deep gold. And first thing I did is I plugged the car charger in and test both of the batteries. So it came with this one here, the 7 amp hour, and a little 5 amp hour. Now this was broken, so the connector, the aviation connector, was pushed in. So I went ahead and just pulled it off, took a look inside, tried to charge them on the home charger overnight. They're dead, old lead acid. So I went and got a 6-volt power supply and rigged this up with what was inside of the cap. That one. So basically just have audio out going down to a speaker, and then I've got this connected in to the control box, and last I have a coil hooked up to the shaft. So did some researching. I've never actually used one of these detectors before, so this is the first for me. And I'm actually kind of surprised with it in a few different ways. Let's turn it on. Which one is the volume? Oh, yeah, the volume is maxed out. I'll turn my speaker up a bit, but the other mic should pick that up. Um, it's all balanced out right now. I have it set into just normal mode. If you can see that. Threshold, I tinkered with a bit to get it to be the most sensitive. But I've got it set to sensitive. I found that RX mode works better with that 1100 coil. I don't know why yet. I thought that was a mono loop, but it actually, I'm pretty sure it's not. And I'll show you why. If I go over this side versus this side, barely picks it up on one side. But if I flip that over into any of the other modes, I set it over into, was it E or normal, it will not work. So one thing I haven't tried yet is the 8-inch coil. That is a mono loop. And I'm indoors. I have lights all over, computers, monitors, all kinds of crap. So it doesn't surprise me that when it is set in that mode that it might be unstable, but just so you can hear it, what you expect from running a metal detector in your house. especially a gold prospecting detector. But for a machine that came out in 2000, I was actually pretty surprised. Pretty surprised at this machine. I'm not surprised at the depth. I thought I'd get more air depth with that coil. Like this 1.3 ounce nugget. And then we can get a shot of that. Crusty specimen in quartz. So yeah, I didn't know if it ran, if it was gonna run, if I was gonna have to take it apart, and basically scrape off that white paint on the boards and trace down any faults. But it looks like I don't have to. Now, a few months ago, I went and picked up a spot welder. I'm gonna turn the volume off on here. Picked up a spot welder and some of these 18650 battery packs, 3.7 volt. So they can make a new pack. These batteries are 6 volt. I have heard people running them on like 6.8 volt. So this would bring it up to 7.4. I'm going to check and see if that's going to be safe. I think it will. It should be. If not, I might just put a voltage regulator in there and drop that down a little bit. But I'm pretty excited. So I've got this kind of rigged up. Kind of a weird way here. I was having some interference, so I had to ground out the outside of this 1/4 inch to 3.5 millimeter jack. And haven't figured out what this component is. That was inside of the cap on top of the smaller battery. I think it is a capacitor. Not sure. Uh, yeah, it could be capacitor. I mean, maybe it's a die. Hmm. No, yeah. Well, I don't know. I'll test it. I'll look it up, figure it out, get this put together, and I'm gonna test this 18-inch coil out. But ultimately, I'm gonna be dragging a big loop, big loop of Litz wire across some of the fields out here in Northern California, and hope we can find some big gold. Like, that's a nice nugget. I didn't find that, by the way. But this is one of my favorites from my collection. It is gold and hematite. 40 grams. Just beautiful. There's gold 10, 20, 100 times bigger than that still hiding in the ground here in California. And can't reach it with the 7000. I ran the 19-inch coil. And we're still pulling gold out of some of these spots. And still pulling some big pieces. Like this one I got last summer. You might have seen the video on the channel. That one was 18 and a half or so. Took the quartz off of it. Another one. Just some good pieces, good sized gold. Good chunks that we've been pulling. But we've effectively reached the limit of what these detectors are going to see. Like the 7000 specifically. So I know that if those were sitting at just right there at that limit of what the 7000 or the Axiom or any other detector with a standard coil will see, why not 3 inches deeper? Why not a foot deeper? An inch deeper? It's out there. So 2025, hopefully, is going to be a big year. I don't know when I'm going to get time to actually finish this project. I need to do a little bit more research. Woody, Dave at Detector Mods, I'm going to be bugging you guys a little bit um, because I think I will need you guys to help me set this up for some lower pulse timing for the size of the coil I want to run on it. So I'll probably order a coil from you too. So yeah, I've been in talks with David a bit about that project, and it kind of fizzled out. And I think the plan turned into, well, let's go send our 7000s in to Woody at Detector Mods and have him do the 30% depth increase mod, which, by the way, is on my to-do list. It's just a little pricey right now. But yeah, I guess one of those are going to get sent out and tested against the other ones we have, and basically see the difference. And um, if there really is a 30% depth increase with the 7000 after it gets modded, I mean that's a lot of gold. But ultimately, I'm looking for pieces that are life changing. There are a few spots that will not be available anymore, private properties. There's some public spots. I have friends that have properties that are up for sale or their lease is going up for, to be expired. And after that, that gold's probably going to be hidden forever, realistically. Either houses are going to get built on it, someone's going to build a chicken coop, or whatever, and it's going to be gone for good. So, you've probably all heard about the Butte nugget that got dug out of Butte County. What was that? Back in 2014, I think? It might have been not that long ago. But I mean, the thing was huge. The nugget was like this, about the size of this battery. Probably weighed about 3 times as much. I think it sold for about close to half a million USD at auction. And that guy found it right under the surface. Well, pretty darn shallow. I think he said that when he hit it with his coil, he figured it was like an axe head or a shovel head or something like that. Which is probably exactly what it sounded like. So they're out there. After hearing that story, I can't imagine how many shovel heads I've walked past, not wanting to deal with them, or just sheets of iron from a flume or something. We try to take as much of that out of the field as possible, but I mean, we can only carry so much in and so much out. So yeah, they're out there. I'm gonna be digging more of those really obvious targets, and do my part in cleaning up some trash and maybe get a $500,000 nugget. But I'm also gonna be building big drag setup. So if you see this goofball walking around a field dragging a piece of linoleum with a big figure 8 wire on it, don't beep. I don't need your EMI, but wave. So, wish me luck. This should be a fun project. I am dreading so much digging a 6 foot deep hole for a piece of trash. And it's going to happen. I know most of the trash is in the upper layer, but a lot of the stuff they worked, and it looks like it's never been touched, but they have worked it, and it's just kind of been spread out over the years. And you know, prospect pits that were dug and filled back in, and who knows, what's down there. So kind of had the plan of dragging that coil behind me, and then having a friend have some survey flags, and basically I give a signal, survey flag goes into the ground, keep going. Just grid a whole field, and then go back over it with a handheld detector. I mean, could even since we'll have this one out in the field, just swap the 18-inch coil on it. If it still hears it with the 18, maybe sanity check it with the Equinox, see if it actually is gold. Um, but I think if this picks it up, or that big drag coil picks it up, and that 18-inch coil or the 7000 does not pick it up, I think there's a really good chance that there is a very interesting target very deep. So we're gonna give it a shot. What I mean, it's slim pickings out there, guys. I mean, this is like, yeah, we pull some good size gold. We do, but most of it, little stuff, little species. And the reason for that is all the big stuff on top's been taken, for the most part. And these big nuggets are out there, and some of them are going to be in these fields that we're going to run. And there's some ideas that we have for running that coil in steeper, brushier terrain, and spots where you really need a landslide to pull some big gold off of there. There's a whole bunch of pine duft, and there could be several feet deep, and you're not going to pick up the average nugget detecting out there. So um, a lot of people don't try. So relics, yeah, maybe nuggets, caches, maybe, yeah. So that is the new project. I want to say thank you, huge thank you for this detector. When I get it up and running completely, I got to clean it up. But once I get it up and running with that drag coil, I'm going to do some more videos, and we'll circle back, and or maybe before that, when I get the battery pack built, we'll circle back on that, and show this thing all cleaned up, running on battery power. Right now it's running off of a 6 volt, just a 6 volt charger. I butchered up and wired together. So yeah, let's hear that one more time. We are on. No volume. Why is there no volume? Go to hum. Oh, the power was on already. I had my speaker off. So I'll have that cranked up a bit here. But yeah, pretty stable for indoors. Oh, here's a cool piece. I like this one a lot. I didn't find this one either. This is part of my collection. It's crystallized gold with iron and quartz. As far as difficult pieces to detect, this is another one I did not find. I actually picked this one up specifically for testing coils and hunting tailing piles. So this looks like one of the ones that Jerry's pulling out of Idaho. Those potatoes he's got in his mouth all the time. No, Jerry McMullen? No? Yeah. It's not even here. We got all metal mode on, sensitivity up. We'll do shallow. I was in normal boost. Huh. Alright, Minelab. I was told that this detector can find little gold. Should be able to see that. But that is one reason why I got this piece. I was on the hunt for one like this for a long time, and I was actually on the hunt for one about that size. But this is the best one I could find. And see if we get it to hear it. Very weird. Tracking is fixed. I have it in RX mode. Sensitive soil. All metal. Barely. Yeah, that Axiom picks this thing up very well. It'll actually even grunt at it if you do the iron check on it. Oh, here's some fine, ultra fine gold, flower gold. Those are always fun. So, do you know why it's not picking that up? Take a guess. Because I got another jar with bigger pieces. A jar with flakes. And by the way, the weights on these are not too different. So if you know why, comment below. If you don't know why, here are 3 books. We have Inside the Metal Detector by George Overton, The Voodoo Project, also by George Overton, and the Arduino Nano Pulse Induction Metal Detector Project by George Overton. Great books. Learned quite a bit about how these detectors work, both PI, VLF, even the old beat frequency oscillators. So, must have if you're going to do any tinkering with coils or any modifications, or you just want to understand your detector better. Like, there's a lot in here that I think the average prospector would look at and gloss over. But if you set aside the technical side, specifically with inside the metal detector, this goes into some history on basically how the metal detector got invented, the history behind some of these companies like Garrett and White, um, about how some of the businesses went under, got sold, um, how the technology has changed, all sorts of stuff. So out of all three books, this is the probably the least technical. Um, but it's still, I mean, the majority of this book, I'll put it on this other camera here. The majority of the book are schematics and part lists and things of that nature. So, but it goes into the coil design, how the different coil types work, double Ds, monos, um, flyback voltage, all the stuff, all the stuff that's helpful to know. Why is that helpful? Well, because you can't put a coil that's too big on a detector, on a pulse induction detector that it doesn't support it, and same thing goes for smaller coils. So if you put a big drag coil, like let's say a 4, 6, 8 foot round drag coil on the back of you know, a stock, maybe, I don't know if these ones will handle that without being modded, but I know that if you throw one on like an Axiom and some of these other pulse induction machines, the the timing of it pulsing through that coil is faster than that coil can basically discharge. So your detector is flipping that on and off, that transmit receive, transmit receive, transmit receive, faster than that coil can de-energize. So it's still charged. It starts to act like a capacitor essentially, and you get terrible performance. And the same goes the other way with small coils. I tried building a little bedrock crevice shooter coil for the Axiom, a little guy. I had such a tough time getting that thing to run stable. I never did. I think I can. I have a few ideas of changing the way I wind it, um, the diameter of the wire inside, and a few other things that I think would make that work. And that coil was essentially about the size of this lid right here. And the idea was basically you're hunting bedrock and you want to get that coil in all these really hard to reach spots. So if you haven't seen the MD20 Falcon, it would be kind of in the same vein as this guy here, except this is a very, very high frequency VLF. This one operates at 300 kilohertz. And to give a comparison, the Equinox 900 runs at a maximum of 40 kilohertz. And other than the Falcon, the highest frequency VLF detector I know of is the Goldbug 2, and that will operate at 71 kilohertz, but it'll also find the tiniest gold, and it's also really tough to operate and balance, and if you want to actually utilize that sensitivity. And same with the Falcon. I mean, this thing is just a freaking crackhead. But I wanted something, like this I can bring out with me. Basically shove down into those cracks, and this doesn't handle mineralization well. I'm not going to test it right now, but I got a handful of quartz that is barren. It does have some iron rusting on it, and this does a pretty good job of letting you know if you have a ferrous target or a non-ferrous target. So if it's ferrous, it will make noise when you pull the target away. Here, let's just turn it on. We'll see if we can get it to be calm. That's a lot to ask for out of this detector. All right, so here's a paper clip. So that is a bad example. And I'm guessing because it is steel and not iron. I'm wondering if I have anything that's actually iron. Get closer. You know what I think you can do? Well, I didn't come prepared, obviously. See if we've got anything about the Glock. No, but small iron. Small iron. It will. Another ferrous metal. It will. It'll make noise when you pull it away. And for non-ferrous, it'll make noise when it's going toward it. And that's it. So you try to run that thing over bedrock, you're going to be hitting on just everything, and it's just so sensitive and finicky. The cable's finicky. Actually started working on a bigger coil for that one. I posted that video, or at least a teaser video of that project on my YouTube channel. Learn the Wild, which you're probably watching right now. But this is a coil that I had put together just to test to see if we can do a bigger coil for that Falcon. And basically I threw on a little higher quality, quite a bit higher quality coaxial cable and a potentiometer so that I can adjust the resistance on this on the fly. And it actually works. It worked really well. It's fairly stable as is. The sensitivity is great. I think if I put a few days into that, really tinkering with the windings, spacing between the windings, really nailing down, you know, that perfect resistance. I think that'd make a killer coil. And it's built on pipe fittings. So you put a hose on here and just weasel that down into some gnarly boil holes in the bedrock. Now, how are you going to get the gold out? I don't know. That's for you to figure out. Or maybe me. Alright, so that's what I got going on. That is the initiative at Motherlode Prospecting right now. It's raining out. We went and did a little prospecting yesterday, but it's raining, so I'm kind of just taking it easy for the day, and I figured I gotta try with that. So once again, comment below why will the detector not hear that, but it will hear that. Will hear that. It will hear an individual piece out of there too. And of course, it'll hear all these. It'll hear these. Should hear these. Comment below. Let me know. What do you think? Yeah, even picks up these little species. Not a lot of gold on those. That's from 2024. That was a good year. We ended up finishing out about a half pound of gold. That's including, the bits of quartz and stuff on there. Um, Less than I wanted to, but I was also busy with work and other stuff. So this year might be different. We will see. So yeah, tune in if you're, comment. Please like, subscribe, share. Let me know what type of content you want to see. We're gonna be putting together some more adventure videos. Katie and I going out and detecting, bringing some other friends with us. Still actively working on the documentary, Underground. If you want to be a part of it, reach out. Nico at motherlodeprospecting.com, Nikko, and let me know. I'm located in Central California, Northern Central, Sierra Nevada foothills, kind of by Sacramento, Stockton. So if you're kind of in the area and want to meet up and talk and tell me about your prospecting history and, want to be filmed prospecting, whatever, show off your gold collection. Um, yeah, I'm open to anything. I just kind of want to tell stories about, the people that are in our community and what they're doing. Sorry about that. What they're doing, where they came from, what their big plans are, and I know there's some people that were in my shoes, where I was a couple years ago, where not finding gold wasn't an option. Um, I had to come home with gold, and luckily I'm not in that position anymore. But there's some of you out there, and I'd love to kind of hear your side of it and your story and your struggles, and um, yeah, I'm sure I can resonate with a lot of it. And I know there's a lot of you guys out there that are just hammering away, beating your bodies up because that's all that's out there. Um, it's a slow time of year. Construction, it's slow. For a lot of the trades, it's slow. Um, the engineering field, we get a lot of layoffs this time of year, hiring in the fall, and then we get spring, spring layoffs, and that's always a concern. So yeah, I mean, there's people out of work and not getting any emails back from these companies and phone calls back, and doing side work and hustling how they can and doing some prospecting. And I've seen a few people get real lucky, find some big gold doing that, and really helped them out and get through a tough period. It did with me. So I hope to pass on the knowledge I learn and help other people out. Um, 'Cause who knows, maybe someone else has one of these sitting in their garage, belonged to your grandpa. Came in a box with a bunch of cables. What do I do with this? Does it work? How can I get it working? Um, you know, there's a lot of good machines out there that are just sitting idle. People get burned out on prospecting. They get old. They get injured. Um, or maybe they move up. They get a mine. They get a mine and they're not detecting anymore, and they're running a bunch of bulk material. So, yeah, living the life, right? Okay, well, stay tuned. This is gonna get decrusted, and there's something inside. We are off, right? All right, we pull the power. There's something inside here. I don't know if you can hear that. Sounds like a piece of plastic rattling around. I'm gonna open that up, and I think while I'm in there, I'm gonna go check the that grounding spot. Woody, um, with all the sliders, and Yeah, see if I can get that. You know, if the case isn't properly grounded, maybe get it to run a little more sensitive. But the fact that it runs that quiet indoors here with, I mean, I have a stand-up freezer, a box freezer, three computers, two monitors, got a CNC controller over here, got this light, lights all over. Um, and there's a lightning storm outside, and that thing is still running as you know, as calm as that was is freaking wild. Like, let's pull the Axiom off, do a hard reset. And then, let's see. I had tracking on the Extreme, so I think what I'll do is, and then I turned it off, and then it kind of stayed where it's supposed to be. Ground tracking, slow mode, fine. I did frequency scan on the Minelab, so let's do that here too. And the sensitivity is at level 4 out of 8 on that machine. $49, $59, $26, bingo! $69, $19. Where are we at? $49. Now this detector handles EMI really well. We'll set the speed to slow. Speed is on medium. Ground tracking on slow. Mode fine. Threshold. Let's drop the sensitivity down to 1. 1. Bump the threshold up. Yeah. But we'll try it with the gold dust. Yeah, not picking it up, but we'll take this one. I'm curious on level 1. This nugget here, I was getting about that much depth on that coil. So even on level 1 sensitivity with ground tracking on the Axiom, getting better depth than on the Extreme. Now keep in mind I'm in fine mode, so I'm going to actually switch that off and test again with the big nugget. So about the same. Let's do large gold mode, change the pulse timing, and then yeah, we should probably frequency scan again. Where are we gonna land? We got 49 last time. $37, $58, $36, $65, $24, $58. So I didn't move that machine. So if you change your pulse timing, you go from fine and normal or anything like that, go in assault mode, do another frequency scan. So here's the flakes. Let's get out of here. Other bigger pieces. And I'll try this big guy. Double from there to there just by changing the mode, changing the pulse timing on that coil. So lost some depth. Let's see how we do with this one. Lost some depth on that real small gold, even the jar full of it, but gained depth with the big one. So. I know that's chaotic. That noise is probably driving you as crazy as it is me. I wonder if we knock that threshold down a bit or a lot. I don't know if you can hear that thunder outside. Yeah. So lost a little depth. Anyways, that's it. I'll have some more updates on a few other things too in the pipeline. I think I mentioned. So, but yeah, I'm excited. I don't know if you want me to say his name, but uh, thank you. It's interesting. Um, it's interesting I'm gonna have to look into some of the mods that are out there for this because while I'm impressed for a number of different reasons, I did expect better sensitivity to small gold, and I did expect um, better depth on bigger gold. And I only tested it with that one coil right now. But what was surprising was that it ran incredibly stable, like very stable, and I got about the same depth in fine mode, and this is set up about you know uh, equivalent to the Axiom fine mode. Uh, the same amount of depth on that piece, about you know 7, 8 inches, 6 inches. I don't know. Um, that was actually surprising. So I'm curious, basically what this is capable of as far as stability with a big drag coil, because that was a concern. Still is a concern. Hence the joke: don't honk at me if you see me. Just wave. Maybe it has better, handles EMI better than the Axiom. I'd be really surprised because there are areas that I detect where I can't run the GPZ 7000 even with the little 12-inch nugget finder coil. I could run it, but there's a lot of background noise, a lot of warbling, and that threshold is not super clean. And I'll pull the Axiom out, and I'll run that, and it's fine, no issues at all. Um, there's there's one spot where there's these high transmission power lines, and a few guys I know detect out there, and they basically avoided it. They avoided certain stretches of it, anyways. And I went through there with that Axiom, and I had a 1 ounce day. But I think my biggest piece was that one there, which was, God, I think 8 or 10 grams. But a lot of little gold. Um, even with a little bit of a warble in the threshold, it was uh it was steady enough. You know. So now I'm just rambling. So we'll call it.